What kinds of Grand Prix do Knox have in store for us after the Spyro Grand Prix? Let's talk about it. What's up guys, J.Bandicoot here, back with another video, and today we're talking about the upcoming Grand Prix for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. Before we get started though, I want to give credit to Carls493 for the footage you're seeing. A link to their channel is in the description below. Be sure to check them out as their footage helped make this video responsible. So thank you Carls493 for the footage. Now, we have already been given the first 3 Grand Prix coming to the game by Knox themselves, which include the Nitro Tour Grand Prix, which is happening right now, the Back in Time Grand Prix, and the Spyro and Friends Grand Prix. But what comes after these Grand Prix? What can we expect after the Spyro and Friends season? Well, that's what we're here to speculate today, my friends. Now, it is worth mentioning that the timing on these Grand Prix are kind of speculative at this point, as Knox really hasn't confirmed the frequency of when these Grand Prix are going to drop, but I would kind of expect them to be a monthly trend, as the Nitro Tour Grand Prix is slated to last about a month, with a few days of buffer in between the Grand Prix as they don't last quite the entire month. So with this speculative time frame in mind, we have the Nitro Tour Grand Prix in July, the Back in Time Grand Prix in August, and the Spyro and Friends Grand Prix in September. But what about the months following? Well, I do have a few thoughts on those that I'd like to share with you today. So for the October Grand Prix, I'm thinking it's going to have a tentative Halloween theme. The main reason I think this is going to be the case is that there have already been leaked images of Madame Amberly's Academy of Evil from Crash Twinsanity being transformed into a raceable track in Nitro Fuel. This kind of setting would be perfect for a Halloween Grand Prix, but what kind of characters could we expect from this update? Well, it would really only make sense for Nina Cortex to be the centerfold, as her story strongly revolved around the Academy of Evil in Crash Twinsanity. So Nina pretty much confirmed as the centerfold, much like Tawna is to the Nitro Tour Grand Prix, but who else would be included in this update? It's also worth mentioning that I'm also working under the assumption that there are going to be about 5 new racers per Grand Prix, as that's how many racers were added with the Nitro Tour Grand Prix, coupled with the information we received from the recent data mine of the game. With the recent data mine, we learned that Baby Cortex and Baby Entropy were scheduled to be coming to the game in the future, along with our already confirmed Baby T, Baby Crash, and Baby Coco from Knox themselves. So this puts us at a consistent 5 racers per Grand Prix, by putting those 5 racers in the Back in Time Grand Prix. So who else is going to be joining Nina in what I'm dubbing the Academy of Evil Grand Prix? Well, another shoe-in for this kind of season would be Nitrous Brio, a former attendant of the Academy and former classmate of Cortex and Engine. Brio would only make sense to be added into the game during this time, as he's been a highly requested racer for the game, and he also ties in quite nicely with the Academy. But after Brio, we have a lot more characters with much looser connections to the Academy, and some of these characters that I have in mind to be added with this Grand Prix would be Evil Crash and the Evil Twins. My reason behind thinking that they'll be added in this Grand Prix is twofold. Number 1, because the Academy was introduced in Crash Twinsanity, which was also the game that Evil Crash and the Evil Twins made their debut. And also, number 2, because that rounds the racer count perfectly to 5, and those 3 would make the most logical additions to the game in meeting that 5 racer quota. The only other character that I had in mind that could be included at this stage in the game is Madame Amberly herself, but she was such a minor character in the game and was overshadowed by the first 5. Maybe Knox will swing her in as a 6th, but I just don't think she'd make as big of a splash. As for the carts, there are a number of things that Knox could do with the Halloween theme to make the carts for this Grand Prix extremely unique and stand out from the rest of the carts that we already have, as well as the carts that are already confirmed to be coming to the game. I feel like Knox will really have fun with this Grand Prix, and it'll definitely be one of the better ones that they have to offer. The next Grand Prix is kinda tricky as it's in November, and that immediately brings to mind fall and maybe Thanksgiving for Americans. I'm unsure if Knox would really go for a Thanksgiving theme, as Knox is located in Canada, as well as the fact that there are a very large amount of players who aren't in America and don't celebrate Thanksgiving and all that stuff, so I don't really think it'll be Thanksgiving themed. So with that in mind, it'll almost certainly be fall themed if it's even themed at all. We really haven't seen that many themes colliding with the calendar year up to this point, so this is kind of a loose connection, but I do have a few theories on this Grand Prix as well, not pertaining to the theme, the most prominent of which being the Chicken or Crash Tag Team Racing Grand Prix. Now this may seem a little bit far-fetched, but stay with me on this one, I think I've got some solid grounds. So there's been this huge theory circling around Reddit and other social media sites called the Chicken Conspiracy for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. As the theory goes, there's an Easter egg hidden in the adventure mode directly across from the track portal for Tiger Temple in Papu Papu's homeworld. This little Easter egg is a section of wall containing a chicken and 5 circles surrounding it. Now these circles are said to either represent 5 Grand Prix or coming in the top 5% of Grand Prix leaderboards or something of the combination of the two. I personally think that the Easter egg is a combination of both, and there will be a special prize for racers who have placed in the top 5% of the previous 4 Grand Prix, plus this one as well. What I think the Easter egg could be hinting at is another element from the recent data mine, the elusive character known as King Chicken. I think this Grand Prix will introduce King Chicken as a special prize for the racers dedicated enough to place in the top 5% of the 4 previous Grand Prix leaderboards as well as this one. Or it may just be this one, considering the fact that placing in the top 5% of all 5 Grand Prix at this point may be a little excessive, so I'm going to amend my previous statement and say that King Chicken will be this Grand Prix's top 5% grand prize. But the real content of this Grand Prix could definitely be Chick, Stu, Pasadena Opossum, Ebenezer Von Clutch, and Willy Wumpacheeks. All of these characters stem from Crash Tag Team Racing, and one of the main power-ups and running jokes in that game were chickens, so in the end, at least in my mind, it all just kinda adds up. As for King Chicken being the Grand Prix top 5% reward, I'm of the designation that not every Grand Prix is going to have a championship cart as a reward. In my mind, that would kinda get repetitive real fast, and introducing an exclusive character that only the best of that Grand Prix can unlock could certainly be a way to spice things up a bit in the online lobbies, and just a bit of competition from everyone involved. As for the track, who knows? It may be fall-themed, chicken-themed, or a complete redesign of one of the Crash Tag Team Racing tracks. I would absolutely love a built-from-the-ground-up CTTR track, as some of the tracks in that game had some really cool elements that no other Crash Racing title had. The shark water elevator jumps over metal sharks, and the all-around amusement park aesthetic could be a really cool touch to spice things up in Nitro Fueled. And the last potential Grand Prix that I want to cover is the December Grand Prix. Now this one is much harder to nail down, as I really have no theories or evidence to back this one up, so this one is kind of extra speculation on my part. With December being the holiday month, the only thing that I can draw from it is that it may be a gift-giving Grand Prix. This Grand Prix could very well be centered around fan service, as they could be giving us some of the characters that were excluded from the game that we have always wanted in the game. The characters that I have in mind for this Grand Prix would be Rillaroo, Koala Kong, Komodo Mo, the Viscount from Crash Boom Bang, even though really nobody asked for him, I literally just needed him to fill my 5 racers per Grand Prix theory, and rounded out with the centerfold, Emperor Velo, with his big belly and deep, threatening voice in all his magnificent splendor. With Real Velo being the centerfold, and with this Grand Prix being centered around fan service, I could also see Knox recreating the entire Crash Nitro Kart adventure mode and putting it in the game along with this Grand Prix. I mean, they've already got all the characters in the game minus Real Velo, all the tracks, all the code required to support the adventure mode. All they would really have to do to recreate it is recreate the hub worlds and link them to the existing CNK tracks in the game. and they'd certainly have the time to make all these changes, as my current projection for this Grand Prix isn't until December, a full 4.5 months from now. I think this would be an excellent way to cap off the traditional Grand Prix as we know them, because after this Grand Prix in December, every character from Crash's universe will be playable in the game, minus Madame Amberly and the lab assistant, but I really don't think those would make good inclusions into the game, and you also have to take into account the elemental masks, but they're not really playable, they're masks, but for the most part, 95% of the Crash universe will be in the game, playable, and I think that's a wonderful thing. After the Grand Prix in December, Knox will probably change up their Grand Prix system if they decide to continue it, as there really would be no other characters that they could add to the game in the Crash universe, minus the ones I've already mentioned, and by that point, there would be an insane amount of characters to choose from in this game, a massive 56 in total to that point, which is more than even Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Personally, I think this timeline makes a lot of sense, but what do you guys think? Do you guys have other ideas for Grand Prix that you think are better than mine? Where do you think Knox will go with these after December? Lay those ideas out in the comments below, I'd love to read them. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, it really means a lot to me. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to smash the crap out of that like button and the notification bell to stay up to date with my videos. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Have a great day, night, weekend, holiday, whenever you're watching this. Peace, my dudes and dudettes. Bye-bye.